Is this on? Hey YouTubers, this is Jason. I am going to tonight, swap a decoder from a Kato SD40, the Santa Fe unit right here, swap it into a Kato SD40-2. The decoder that I'm going to swap, or that I'm going to pull out and place in the 40-2 is a Digitrax DH165K1A. That's this guy right here. Hopefully you can read that. Long story short, I installed it last night in the wrong locomotive. Surprisingly, it actually worked. But so I'm going to pull it out of the SD40, and it was meant for the SD40-2. I've got another decoder to put into the SD40. It's actually the Digitrax DH165K1A. That one looks a lot more hair-raising. There's more soldering involved. I'm going to attempt that tonight. Don't know if I'm going to record it on YouTube. We'll see how this one goes. I did one of these last night, which required some soldering and didn't murder or smoke a decoder. So hopefully this goes well. So we're going to start by taking the SD40, where I'm going to pull the decoder out. By the way, these decoders, this DH165K1A, this is not a new decoder by any stretch of the imagination. These locomotives are, oh boy, 10, 11, 12, probably 12, 13 years old, maybe even more. I got them in the early 2000s. And the decoders I ordered back in like, oh boy, 2010 or 2011. I just never got around to installing them. So finally getting to that. So the first step is to take the shell off of the Kato SD40. We're going to remove the couplers. And there's just simply two Phillips screws. I just already pulled one out right here on the rear end. And I'm going to pull the other one out on the front end. They come out real easy, and then the coupler will slide right out of the pocket. And then the shell, with just a little bit of wiggling, will come off. Alright, so there's my screws. I'll put them in my handy dandy parts holder here in my foam locomotive holder. Pull out the couplers, easy peasy, and then with the couplers out, you can gently rock the shell off, and it comes off just like that. Set that aside. So here's the DH165K1A decoder, Digitrax. This one's real easy to install. It actually requires no soldering whatsoever. You simply need to pull. Let me get a stick here. Simply need to pull the track power leads out of these clips. So there's both front and rear, and unscrew the decoder. There's two Phillips screws, and then simply pull the decoder off. And this decoder replaced a light board, factory default from Kato. Try to maybe angle it a little better so you can maybe see it a little better. Hopefully this video is going to be okay. This is the first time recording with this Microsoft Live Cam. So to pull the pickup leads from the trucks out, I'll simply lift up on these little copper clips, and the wire pulls right out. And again, there's 4 of them. I'm just using a very fine flathead screwdriver here to kind of gently lift the copper flap up, and then I pull the leads out. Last one. And there we are. So now all 4 leads are pulled out. These wires can pull away freely. That's the rear. This is the front. Now we will take these 2 screws out and lift the board off. So I'll take the Phillips screwdriver, 1 screw, and the 2nd screw. With those screws out, the decoder starts to wiggle, and all that's holding it on now is the these copper pickups that supply voltage from the decoder into the motor. So simply gonna bend those in a little bit so they can come off, and there it is. It's that easy. I'm going to set this locomotive aside. This is the SD40. We're going to put this decoder in the SD40-2. So we'll take all the parts and also put those aside. Some of these parts are probably interchangeable, such as the coupler screws and probably the couplers themselves, and then also the screws that hold the decoder on. Now we're going to take our SD40-2. We're going to see when we get inside here. This one's a little different actually. This does require some soldering, and I'll show you in a minute what I mean by that, because I did one of these last night in a BNSF Heritage 1 scheme. So again, to get the shell off, we're going to use the right screwdriver, the Phillips, to back out these screws in the coupler pockets, and then we'll be able to pull the couplers out. And there's one. I've already got my soldering iron. 2 of them actually heating up. I've got a higher wattage flat one that I used last night on these. Probably was a little overkill. I was probably lucky I didn't melt the decoder. I really should be using the fine tip one, so I dug that one out of the garage. I don't use that one a whole lot because I'm normally just soldering track, things like that. I don't do a lot of soldering on locomotives. Alright, so the couplers are pulled out. Now we're simply going to rock this shell back and forth. It might take a little bit of prying. The BNSF SD40-2 with Midwest snoot required a little bit of prying with the screwdriver to get the shell kind of to release. Looks like this one's going to be the same. I'm not surprised. So let's get a screwdriver here and gently. Last time I kind of pried on the front short hood. So now it's come apart a little bit there. There we go. There it is. Hey Josh.
Hey Daddy. Me and Allison were wondering if we could go down to Fairfield.
Sure.
Okay. 15 minutes?
Let's see, what time is it? It's 6:42. Tell you what, I'll give you 20 minutes this time.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Alright, so this unit's got the light board on it. It's still a stock Kato light board. We're going to pull this off. Again, it's got 2 screws, front and rear. If you haven't noticed already, the pickups from the trucks are a little different, so there's no wires coming from the front or rear trucks. The pickups actually come through this copper, piece of copper on each long length of the frames, and then these copper pieces here pick up the current and bring it up to the decoder. Now, these pieces are soldered on, so the first bit of soldering is going to be to relieve the solder so I can remove these copper pieces and put them on the new Digitrax decoder. And again, I did one of these last night with success. But first, we'll remove the decoder by removing the 2 screws on the top. I have to say too, while these Digitrax decoders work all well and good in the Kato locomotives and the rear light is good, I'm not real happy with the front light because I'll show you in a minute, but the front light is on the decoder, on the Digitrax decoder, is actually quite a bit further forward and doesn't meet up with the light tube that brings the light into the front headlamp. So after I put this decoder in, the front headlights, the front lights on the unit, which should be bright white LED, are going to be very dim, and we can actually see kind of the bonfire in the cab type effect because the light is much closer to the front of the cab. But talk more about that after I get it installed. So the clip is off, the screws are out. Now all I need to simply do is bend these coppers, which again bring current to the motor, and I should be able to pull this right off. Got one out. This one is bent about 90 degrees. Alright, got that piece bent out, and the light board comes right off. Here's what I was talking about about the lights. Notice, I'm dropping decoders here. Put the decoders side by side. You can see if I can. Yeah, I'll keep them both in my hand. You can see on both of them the rear lamp in the back are lined up, and then the front light on the light board, the stock light board, is sort of in the middle of the decoder, whereas the middle of the light board, whereas on the Digitrax decoder, the replacement, the lights are way up here at the front, and so they don't quite meet up with the light tube. I don't know if you can see that. With where the light tube is supposed to pick up the light, you can see it right by my index finger. It's right under there. That's where it's looking to pick up the light from, which is about the middle of the decoder. So it is what it is. I'm not going to futz with it right now. This decoder also has ditch lights, LEDs on it, but this unit doesn't have ditch lights. So, all right. So the next step is we've got to get these metal clips off the light board because these need to go back on the decoder, and so they're soldered on the top. I don't know if you can see the solder joints there. They're soldered. So we got to loosen up that solder and pull these clips off because we need to reuse them. So I'm going to do that right now. We'll set the locomotive aside. In fact, we'll set our parts aside, get some tools out of the way, and get our soldering iron over here. I'm going to try to use the fine tip pencil soldering iron for this. It's really the right tool for the job. I think I got lucky last night with not melting the decoder. I don't want to push my luck too much tonight, so I'll give this one a try. So here's our helping hands, I think is what those are called. So, put my safety glasses on too. Safety glasses. So what I'm going to do is just pop, have my helping hand hold this decoder, or sorry, this light board. I keep calling it a decoder. Interchangeably, hold this light board because it is not a decoder, and then start to melt the solder. So this is the solder. This is what I'm going to melt right here. Pull that copper piece off. Hopefully we can do it quickly. Okay, here it comes. Oh, loose it. There we go. So we got one off already. I just want to clean a little piece of solder off there. Set that clip aside and turn this around and get the other one. And here we go. And it's off. Pretty easy. The second one off. You can now see that we've removed the clip from the light board. So now we can throw this light board in the pile of Kato light boards. Now what we need to do is I'm going to clean the tip of the soldering iron. And we need to put these clips back onto the new decoder. And actually, before I do that, there's a step in between. This decoder has those copper clips that I was talking to you about that the wires were stuffed under in the previous installation for the truck pickups. These clips are also soldered on, so I need to take these off because these copper clips will not fit nicely over the clips that are on there, and even if they did, it would cause this clip to be a little bit shorter, and it probably would not lead far enough down into the frame where that copper strip is to pick up the current from the track. So I'm going to pull, the right thing to do is to pull this clip off, pull both these clips. So I'm going to be careful because this helping hand has claws on it, and I don't want to damage this green board. So there's not a real easy way to do this. What I really need is 3 hands. I don't have 3 hands. I need something basically to hold. I'm just going to do it the way I did it last night, just trying to be real careful here. Hold the green board and then melt the solder, and then hopefully I can pull that clip off relatively quickly. In fact, I think I might have actually, I used the needle nose on it last night. I'm going to try to use Yeah, I better use the needle nose. If I use the screwdriver and start scratching it, I could ruin the traces on the board. So I'm gonna go ahead and get ready here and start melting just a little dab of solder on the top. And then once I hear it loosening up, I should be able to pop this off. Come on. I didn't have this much trouble with it last night. Yeah, maybe I have to use my... Oh, there we go, it's coming. It's loosening up now. There we go. Oh, come on. I just had you. There we go. Alright, that one's off. That one took a little bit longer than last night, but... Alright, now I'm going to turn it around and grab the other one. Alright. Well, I hope the decoder is it's plenty hot. Hopefully it's kind of made for that treatment. Now, I can go ahead and put these new clips back on. See, so that's upside down, so this is the front, and clip's gonna go on just like so. I'm going to try to get it on as much on the centered on the pad as I can. There we go. It's going to go just like that. So it's going to stay on because I'm going to solder it. So let's get going. Solder to clean off here. Alright, clips on. So what I'm gonna do is make sure it's straight. And then grab a little flux and tin the tip of the soldering iron, and And just dab a little piece of solder on here, just enough to keep this thing on. Really thinking I should have used my flat tip soldering iron. This one's just not, it wasn't pulling, heating the solder up very well. It's just like it's kind of underpowered and I don't want to cook this board. I think that'll have to be good enough. Alright. So let's get the flux. And I just use these T-pins to get a little flux on the tip. Not that much. Just a dab. I'm not even going to put all this on, just enough to spread it on there and keep the solder pulled into a confined area so that it doesn't start drooling all over the circuits and traces. So I'm going to tin the soldering iron. Okay, I got just a little bit on the tip. I'm just going to dab that on there. And if I do this right, it'll suck it right on there. There we go. Alright. I believe that was successful. It's on there pretty firm. It doesn't pull off now. Now I'll do the other side. Clip. Alright, it's on there firm enough. I'm going to go ahead and tin that, flux it. Got a little flux on there just to keep the solder confined to that area and have it just get pulled right in. And I'll tin the tip of the soldering iron. And then dab this on. Alright. Solder gets sucked right where I wanted it. So I don't know how well the camera's going to pick that up, but got to looks a little blurry. Alright, helping hand, I think I'll get out of the way. Should be done with the soldering iron, so let's set this aside. And let's get the locomotive back over here. Now before I put the shell on, I'm going to test run this. And I really meant to mark the front. I believe this was the front. Yeah. So that's the front. I'm gonna go ahead and just mark it right now. I guess I take this shell off again. Just mark an F on the frame. So we're gonna take and stick these motor leads in here. I'll show you in a minute here what I'm doing. So here's one of them in. These are those copper strips. These are those copper strips that have to go through the hole of the decoder. That's what provides the current to the motor. And so both of those have to go in. There's one, there's two. And then I will screw the decoder on. I just take my glasses off. Can't see well. Right. Let's screw the decoder on, get it firmly in place, and then we'll do put on the track and do a quick test run to make sure we've got electrical current going where it's supposed to go, and we don't have electrical current following places where it's not supposed to go on the decoder, because that's going to result in smoke pretty quick. And that will be the end of this video. So I'm just put these two screws in, kind of snug, not overly tightened. I don't want to strip the holes. And I'm going to go back to these copper strips and kind of bend them outward so there's kind of a lot of resistance, and helps ensure that there's going to be constant contact, providing current to the motor. Alright, so that's what I've got. And I can see, I don't know how well you can pick it up on this camera, but you can see that our strips here are providing current down into the frame. They're touching that long copper strip. That's actually, the current is coming from the wheels along the frame and then up into the decoder. The information is decoded, analyzed, and then lights are lit, functions are performed, and current is sent to the motor so the locomotive operates in forward or reverse. Alright, I think I've got everything on now that I need. Let's put it on the track. And hopefully we've got this one good here. I'm going to take the camera and move it so hopefully you can see. There we go. Oh, that'll be good enough. So this is the front. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the power to the track. I'm going to grab a throttle. And I just turned on, okay, the track has power now. Now I'm going to dial up. Normally from the factory this decoder would be address, two-digit address 03. However, I did program it last night with the number 5003 because I mistakenly put it in the wrong locomotive. So his address right now should be 5003, and I'll have to change that. So let's turn on Oh, it's part of an MU, that's why. Shoot. Hold on, I think I had this guy MU'd with something else. Yeah. 6799. Who's 6799? Oh, that's the BN. So let's remove him from the MU. There we go. Now we've got independent control of 5003. There we go. We've got a light. I'm toggling forward and reverse. That's a good sign that we got power. So now I'll go ahead and there we go. That's good. Can't ask for much better than that. Alright, so now I'm going to set the throttle down and we'll finish this job. I'll just leave the camera right here. You can see me well enough. So, I need to put the snoot shell back on. And now this is the part where the lights, the front headlight does not line up with the light tube, which I'm not overly pleased about, but I'm not super picky when it comes to rivet counting in trains. In fact, I grew up with Athearn blue box locomotives, which either had bonfire in the cab or no headlight at all. So the way these things run, that's a treat to me, and if they have sound, I'm just on cloud nine. Alright, shell is on. I'm going to one more time put it on the track, make sure we don't have any rubbing or anything like that. Now this doesn't have any wires in it, which helps, goes a long way with making sure we don't have any rubbing sound as we're going around the corner. So let me grab the throttle, let's do one more test. It sounds great. So let's go around the cloud. And you might be able to see now how dim that headlight is in the front. Alright, that sounded good. Let's go ahead and put the couplers back in, and this will be our wrap. There's the rear. And this one goes in the front. A little bit more difficult because we got a plow getting in the way there, but overall pretty easy to work on this locomotive. I don't know, for some reason I was always intimidated early on by Katos. I don't know if it was just the sheer cost, but I never wanted to take the shell off and dig with them. They didn't seem as easy to work on as Atlas or Atlas Master Series, but this is actually pretty easy. Of course, it helps to have a decoder where you don't have to do much soldering, or actually no soldering at all. We had to do a little soldering on this one, but it wasn't overly difficult. The next one's going to be a little bit more difficult. I read the instructions at dinner, and we got a couple of things we got to solder. Alright, shell is on. Let's see if this guy still runs. There he goes. Last step now is to give him the right road number, because right now what we got dialed up is 5003, and this guy's road number is 5026. Can you read that? So let's get the programming track out. My layout is still a work in progress, so my programming track is just kind of temporary. I'm going to lay it right here. Put the locomotive on it. And let's see, we have to go to, see if I can remember how to do this. We got to go, here we go, I'll show you. I'm going to go, I believe it's program, and I want to do direct programming. No, it's on address 2. We want to go to address 4 and then punch in the number 5026, and then we'll hit enter followed by the Y button quickly. Enter. Yes, there we go. And that should now read back in just a moment, and it looks like it has 5026. So if I press exit, let's dial up 5026 over here. We'll go, except I don't want it on the right side, I want it on the left side. We'll go 5026. Enter. Put them on the track. If I did my job correctly, it's now going to move with the new. There it goes. So overall, I would say this is very successful. You can see if I turn this thing around, got a nice bright LED in the back. Hopefully you can see that. Bright LED. However, on the front, if I change directions here, I'm going to do it in 3, 2, 1. Okay. I don't know, you can probably barely see that. Once again, I'll toggle it. You can even see some of the bonfire and the cab effect from that bright LED pressed up really close to the back or rear wall of the cab. So, not super pleased about that. There's probably an easy fix, but I'm just a little disappointed that that Digitrax decoder was marketed for the Kato SD40-2, and clearly the front headlight doesn't line up correctly. Right, so I think that's it for this video. I'm going to do 1 or 2 quick edits and go ahead and upload it to YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I think I'm going to attempt the Digitrax DH165K1A decoder installation into this Kato SD40. Thanks for watching.